Hello again, welcome back to the lab. Today I'm going to show off my SPC player here. This can also play other chip tunes, but right now it just plays SPCs, and it is housed in a nice plexiglass enclosure that I cut on a laser cutter. But capacitive buttons and a capacitive slider, and there's some debug wires powering it right now. We got on the end here mini MIDI USB, which you can charge, power it, and download stuff, and then of course RCAs for line out. And on the bottom here we've got headphone jack, micro SD card, and then the power wires are coming out there. And on the back, you can see one of those LEDs flashing there. This is a programming cable. I just have it taped down so it won't wiggle around, and it looks like this LED doesn't work for whatever reason over here, but maybe I can fix that. And then there's supposed to be a lithium-ion battery that lives in there. And then on the user interface here, it shows the track name. In this case, it's counting down. When that gets down to 0, it will automatically go to the next one, and we're on track 3 of 32. It's Alcahas and Jun Ishikawa. And then if you press up, it'll go to the next track just by itself, or it just goes to the next track. And hitting this button here will bring up the file list, and then you can kind of scroll through the file list like this. So if I find something I want to hear, like that Aero Biz game, that's kind of cool. So I hit this button here, it loads it, and now it's playing it. So then this slider here will slide this back and forth. They'll slide both of them back and forth actually, so you can see the whole thing without waiting for it to scroll, because right now it's scrolling because it won't fit. And this is to show it's playing. So you can stop it, play it, pause it, main menu, and then like a little register viewer, so it's showing left and right is the volume level for that left or right channel. E is the envelope, and then there's a little square and a circle. The circle's a whatchamacallit, key on, the square is key off, and this means the echo buffer is being used, and there's some other little flags that can show up depending on what's happening. So it looks right now they're using 6 out of the 8 channels, I guess. Hit that again, it goes back to the main menu. So we got play, pause, stop. Then this goes to the next file, this goes to the previous file. This brings up the file menu, and this is the main menu. Like that. And then you can press this to get back out of that. Then in the menu, you can do stuff with the side LEDs, the backlight, there's system settings, play settings. So if I go in there, so right now it's on sequential play, which means it will play the next track when the previous track ends, and play next file will do the same thing. When you get to the last track of a file, it will skip to the next file and start on the first track again. So this can play, hours and hours all by itself. We'll get back where we were. And then pressing this button is kind of like the inner button, and this gets you back to the main screen. So you hit hit this, and then if you hit this, it'll go right back immediately no matter where you are. So then under system settings here, we can make that timer count up, or it can count down. Right now it's counting down because I think that's more useful. Then the file browser can be 7 or 9 lines, so if I tell it 7 lines, get out of that and go in the file browser, now it's 7 lines, and it's showing just 7 lines worth of files instead of 9, so it's a little easier to see. So if I want to load ActRaiser, I do that, press this button, and it loads it. Then in this thing you can hit down like this, and it'll go by a whole page, so you don't have to use the slider. Like that. So if I want to hear like a Bomberman one, scroll down there, or I can just hit these buttons like there, There's one of them. And then it'll load. And now there, we can see that's the main theme. And so on. So now these LEDs here, the red and the green, there's 4 LEDs. This one isn't working for some reason. Maybe when I have it apart, I'll see if I can fix it. So these 4 LEDs here, the red and blue, are 2 of the SPC channels. So this will be 2 channels, 2 channels, 2 channels, and 2 channels. And you can also, in the menu, if you don't like that, you can actually change how that works. So you can make them fixed. So right now they're just a fixed color, and you can press red, green, blue. So I don't want that much blue, so you can turn the blue down, turn it up. Turn the green, I want more green, so you can make them green. Turn the red down. Turn the blue down. There, now it's really pretty green. Whoops. And then you can also, whoops, helps if I do this right, doesn't it? So you can make it a moving pattern, and so now they'll just go through like a sweeping pattern, and you can load a pattern from the SD card here. So, and these are fractant palette files. So I just threw some of them on there. So like this one's got a lot of blue in it, so it loaded it, and then hit back. So now it'll run through that. That one's got blue and yellow, and let's say, oh, it's going through it too fast, so I can set the speed here, and I can see they're speeded way up, or slow it down. And then the mode here changes whether it just sweeps through it once, forwards, backwards, or ping pong, inverse ping pong. And the phase just changes like where it starts at. So I'll go back, return, and then an FPGA control, what that does is that makes it go with the audio channels, and that's when I usually leave it on, since I think that's cool looking. And then the backlight's similar. Helps if I hit the enter button, doesn't it? So it's fixed right now, but you can load a pattern on it just like the other one, and the backlight will go through a pattern, and oh well, that's not fast enough, so we can speed that pattern up if we really want to. So that looks really kind of freaky. Usually I just keep that on the fixed color, of course. Then you can give it FPGA control, which in this case doesn't really do anything, or you can hook it to what the sides are doing. So I just put on fixed usually, and that already sets the color. And then like play settings, whoops, play settings. And that's pretty much it for the menu. So I'll probably set that setting back and where it does the 9-line browser here. Like that. And then you can set the LCD contrast and that scroller font. So right now it's on this font, so if I want that other font, I can just hit this button. Now it'll do this like scribbly font. And right here now it's that scribbly font. So that's pretty much it. And you can press these buttons if you want to go to the next or previous file. So that's how it works. Let's open it up and see how it looks inside. Yeah, taking it apart is pretty easy. It's made up of layers of plexiglass here. I designed this on a circuit board program, and then I made a program to convert it over to like a HPGA, which is like a Hewlett-Packard format that the laser cutter takes, and that was pretty much it. I cut it out of some scrap I had laying around. It's held together with these screws and standoffs. Take the last screw out, I'll shake it, and there's some metal like pins in there that hold it together. So before I take it apart, if I shake it, you can hear those pins. So basically this top comes off, and as you can see it's got holes for your fingers, and it's pretty thin. Then the next layer here comes off. It's really thin. This is the dielectric for the buttons, and you can actually see where my fingers went. And then the next two layers here, so the buttons are just on a circuit board. There's nothing on it, it's just traces, and then that cool little pattern there. Just little contacts. And then this is, they're sticking together here. And this layer's just got openings for that circuit board here and the display there. And then this has little bumpers that fit into holes. And the circuit board sits on this and this spaces it up. Now you can see these holes here because the next layer is very, very thin around the edges because the circuit board is sitting inside here. So I'll take this thing off here, this tape, like that. And then I'll take this layer off, and this layer is very thin. It's not much to it, and that's because the circuit board sits in here. And so it has these little dowel pins here. So there's 4 right there. 7, 8, 10, 12. There's 15 of them. And then the circuit board just lifts out like that. And then there's this little doodad, and this is the little thing that goes on the back like this. It slides in there, and then it gets locked in, and that has all the openings for the connector, so it makes it look nice. And then the next layer. And this layer is kind of interesting. It has these little light guides I have cut into the plastic so the LED shines directly in the edge and it comes out and looks pretty nice. Then this layer have little buttons that sit in here so you could press them, and then there's buttons on the circuit board, so like power and next track is what the 2 buttons are going to be. And then the last part, the battery, just sits in this compartment here. And I have to hog some of this plastic out. That's why it looks like this. I started a little bit and I figured I'd just cut it again. And then everything's just held together with these standoffs, and the standoffs are just through the back with more screws, and that is it. And the pieces just sit in there and stack up, and that is all there is to it. I've not done anything to these pieces. This is the way they come out of the laser cutter. And then this one goes in here like that, and then the circuit board sits above this. So that's the packaging. Let's look at the circuit board. So here's a close-up of it. There's really not a lot on here. Take this tape off. So we've got a Cyclone 3 FPGA, it's an EP3C15, an SD RAM here, a PIC32 here, and then we got that touch controller chip, and then we got a DAC / headphone amplifier here, and of course a micro SD card. And then we got this display, and then there's nothing underneath there. And then on the back, bypassing for the FPGA, we got a LED PWM controller that's running all those LEDs. And then I've got a battery charger, and then some little switching power supplies. And of course the connectors, and that is all there really is to it. Oops, picked up some of my dowel pins on the tape there. So that's the hardware end. This was the very last circuit board I ever had made at AP Circuits, and the very last circuit board I ever designed on Draftsman, I do believe. I went to Altium after this, and I'm glad I did. So then the touch board here, it just simply makes contact over here. Those connections on the back, it just sits there like that, and they just touch these things right here. So that's pretty much this project, and I was thinking of resurrecting this project and making a much smaller portable version and possibly selling it. So if anyone would be interested in this, let me know in the comments, and I may actually do some work on it to sell it. And if I do make a sellable version, it'll be smaller than this, and it will also support all the other things that RetroSynth does, like Game Boy, FM Music, SID, NSF, and probably some new ones like VGM. I kind of want to have that on there too. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and comment and rate, and I will play some example music through this piped in through the computer's line-in so you can hear what it sounds like.